But it was a fun day.
And the intro is about to play. Sorry to talk over you, Evan, but I just wanted to.
Please enjoy this feature presentation of the Crooked River Radio Network. This program is rated for all audiences.
Story because of the music. I'm sorry, Evan. Got to retell it on the air.
Welcome to the Nanosecond podcast. With your hosts, Erik Nannarone, Nick Goblioni, and Pat Morrow. Interesting topics, intriguing conversation, and entertainment. Erik, Nick, and Pat will be right with you.
Hello and welcome to the Nanosecond podcast. I'm Erik.
And I'm Pat.
And I'm Evan.
And today we have meteorologist AJ Colby. AJ, how are you?
Hey guys, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, Jay, I got to do something here. I'm sorry. Whenever we have a really fantastic guest on here, I got to do this. Welcome, AJ. Welcome to the show.
And despite the fact that you still don't have a really fantastic guest, you did it anyway, and I appreciate that.
Modesty has never been one of my traits.
Well, if I could, I am blushing, even though I think Zoom might be compensating for the color. Hence the Aurora Borealis behind me.
Oh,
That's pretty cool. What'd you think of the Aurora?
Well, you know, where I am on the west side of Cleveland, I live out in Lorain County, and I didn't specifically see it very well in my backyard, but oddly enough, when I pointed my iPhone at the sky and snapped a picture, I could see it in the iPhone, but I couldn't see it.
I've heard a lot of stories about that.
Did you? Okay.
I heard there was a bunch of guys from amateur radio in Akron here that went out to Clarksville, and it's about 60 miles from here, roughly. And they said it was okay, but it was better through the camera.
Better through the camera,
It was
right?
better through the camera.
So
the camera picked it up better. I don't know.
did it affect the radio at all? Did it affect your broadcasts?
Yeah, it actually does. It puts kind of a warble on it. It sounds like this when you talk, and when you receive signals and stuff like that, it kind of warbles. But that's the effect of the. You're actually bouncing off the ionosphere, which is charged with the aurora, so it's going to warble. You can actually talk quite some pretty decent distances on the aurora. It's called aurora bounce.
Aurora bounce.
Yeah, and
I'm not a hammy, so I don't know as much as Andre does. Andre has his license. We were talking a little bit about that before, and
he and his both
for years. And you started. I think you mentioned you chatted with Andre.
And I have twice, and actually his wife is a ham too. You know why they got him?
I didn't know Sally was.
Yeah, Sally is too.
Idea.
She they used to do a lot of hiking, and Andre told me that at one point that they had, because of the hiking and that, they couldn't communicate with just any radio. So they decided to get their ham licenses so they could talk. And every time they go out, they both have an HT with them.
That's very cool. I did not know that.
You know. But anyway, tell us about how long were you at Fox? How many years?
Oh gosh. Well, I had a couple of stints there. Well, more than a few. I actually appeared there for the first time when I was 19 years old.
Wow.
I believe that was back. No, I got to go back farther than that. My first appearance, I was 13 years old on, I think that was July 5th of 1988. I was weeding Andre's garden on the noon show and got to give him the temperature live. So that was my first stint at Fox 8. But being employed, That happened on a part-time basis back in the 90s. And I think when the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame opened was the first time that I appeared on the show in the morning. And that was, that was with Lou Maglio, and I believe Stephanie Schaefer would have been on that show. I filled in for Andre. I filled in for Goddard as well back in the mid-90s.
Wow.
And talk about a dream come true. And then I was going to school. I was going to Ohio State at the time. Gosh, I hope I'm getting the timetable right here. Went to Ohio State. I ended up for my first job, my first gig, full-time gig after becoming a meteorologist was in Erie, Pennsylvania. And that was in 1997. Then 3 years later, in 2000, I believe Mark Kuntz went to Youngstown to be the chief meteorologist down there, if I remember correctly. And there was a position that opened up, and I ended up taking a job with Fox 8 in 2000. So I was there from 2000 to 2003. Then there was a respite where I went to a couple of other TV stations in Cleveland, I think Channel 5 for a year. Then I was at Channel 3 for several years. I was at Channel 3 until 2011. Then Fox 8 brought me back in 2011. I was fortunate enough to get back in time to watch Mr. Goddard retire. And I stayed until I retired. I guess I'll put that in air quotes. Back in, so that would have been in 2022, July of 22. So almost 2 years ago now. So it would have been June of 2022. That's right. June of 2022 is when I retired from Fox 8. So I hope that made a little bit of sense.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of my time at Fox 8.
I had retired from, I retired back in 2009 from the auto company. I actually used to work for Chrysler in Twinsburg. And I had a good run.
Okay.
And I was always been kind of technically minded. And we had a chance to set this up. I run a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week radio station. It's all automated. And it,
That's fascinating.
We do okay with it. You know, I'm getting 11 or 1,200 hours a month, you know, so it's not too bad. People will listen to it. And then we decided
that's FCC licensed radio station?
No, this is actually internet.
Okay, it's not terrestrial.
It's an internet
All right.
station, yeah. I wish I could.
It's called the
afford
Wild Wild West.
That would have blown my mind. Like, wow, yeah, how did you get licensed for? That's incredible. But yeah, doing your own. That's still, you have to be technically minded to be able to do that.
And it's been fun. I got into weather back about 1972 when a bunch of storms come through. I lived up in what is now called Cuyahoga Falls, but it's place I lived was Northampton before they merged and all that. And
Music Center.
there was a bunch of storms that came through, and it did some real damage over in Kent, if I remember rightly. It was July 4th of 72, I think. I could be mixed up a year or two either way, but
That's before my time. 72.
But
That's before my time.
they took and they scared the pants off of me. And I swore at that point I was never going to be afraid of the weather again. So I started doing my research, and all of a sudden we start getting radar that's available on cable, 24/7. And so I started learning how to read the radar, which was just a green flat screen, Wasn't really much to read, but you could tell if it was raining. And then
That's the best ever, right? Remember when they put the W up on the corner of the screen?
Yep.
When there was a watch, a W, and they eventually had a twisty one for a tornado watch. They didn't go on wall to wall when there was a tornado warning in the area either, I don't believe.
Then no, they didn't. They didn't dare. You interrupted. You had 3, 5, and 8 back then.
And that's it.
And that was it. But I got into amateur radio in '91 and knew quite a bit about it. Then a friend of mine wanted me to get involved in it. So I did, and all of a sudden the Weather Bureau's calling us and saying, "Hey, we're starting the NEO coordinators group." He says, "We want you in this." There was a Skywarn coordinators group that they formed. This was back in about 92 or 93.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't remember when Skywarn started. Was it in the 80s?
Actually, Skywarn goes clear back to the 1940s. It was
Skywarn is that old?
Yes, sir.
My goodness, in the 40s.
The way it came about was that the original Skywarn was not called Skywarn, of course, but what it was there for is to protect the ammo dumps that were in the United States from lightning. Yes.
The ammo dumps?
There was ammo dumps that supported the war.
My goodness, that's incredible. I had no idea.
What they did was they did such a good job of reporting the lightning in that they decided to expand it after the war, and then they decided to put in tornadoes and pretty much all kinds of weather watching, and it evolved into what it is today.
That was the Weather Bureau at the time, wasn't it? The original?
Yeah.
The Weather Bureau, not the National Weather Service.
The NWS didn't come along until, I think it was late 50s, early 60s, wasn't it? I don't remember that much.
Sounds right. It was after the Second World War.
But it ended up, I got into it, and I've pretty much been the director of Skywarn down here since '92.
You guys still put on seminars?
We do here and there. I don't really have the staffing like I used to have for that, but
I don't think anybody.
The NWS still does
good,
it.
Pat. I really enjoyed attending. I actually learned something as a complete amateur.
They actually started doing those seminars back. What the point you have to go back to is about 1990, early 91, when what they used to have weather bureaus. Akron had one, Cleveland had one, Youngstown had it, and there was, and the NWS decided to merge them into regions, and that's when the CWA was created in the Cleveland Watch area. Once that was created, then the Akron Weather Bureau was dissolved, and what had happened there was Akron was actually reporting their weather to the Akron Canton Airport, and when that dissolved, we all decided we had to go up to Cleveland. And there was nobody in Summit County to take it over. That's when me and Bobby Watkins and Chris Havlick took it over, and I'm about the only one left of that crew. But it's been.
Is it after they put the ASOS machines in there?
Yeah,
I think the Erie, PA may have fallen victim to that too. I think.
Yeah, it was kind of a shame because they eliminated jobs and stuff like that, but they really had too many of them. They've actually got almost too many of them now. You've got three areas that are watching Ohio. You've got the CWA, which is northern. You've got Wilmington down in the south, and then you got Pittsburgh, and you got the Pittsburgh area. But I've been an acquaintance of Gary Garnett and the crew over there. We actually
great. Gary's awesome.
One year we actually had Bill Como in the Stowe Parade.
Oh man,
we invited him, and he
jumped.
He jumped at the chance to come out to see us.
Yeah, he's. I've had many interactions with Bill over the year. He's the former MIC meteorologist in charge at the Hopkins Airport. The Cleveland National Weather Service office before. I think Gary Garnett is now.
Yeah, Gary is now. The one I
Gary's
wondered,
awesome. He's awesome.
The one I wondered whatever happened to was Larry Gabrick.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened to Larry. Those guys will know if you ask them.
The last I heard, he was down in North Carolina somewhere. He had went to Caribou, Maine, and got tired of the weather up there, I guess, and moved.
I wonder why.
He moved his family down to North Carolina, I believe.
That's a little better, a little warmer.
Yeah, I would think so.
Those guys, we've got a great National Weather Service office in Cleveland. We really have some, and I don't know all the people now, but just from Gary on down, if he's the indication, I think, of how the office runs. But they moved. The office is no longer at the airport.
It's no longer there.
Right? They moved
out.
Independence now?
Yeah, I believe so. And it's pretty hard.
Do they still do the sunrise and sunset time at Hopkins, or do they have to move it over to Independence?
That's a good question. Right? That's a good question there. I would imagine they'd stick it. They'd leave everything because the radar's still at Hopkins.
Yeah, the soccer ball's still there.
Yeah.
But the office isn't. They must have needed to. I don't know the whole story. Maybe you know the story behind the move. I don't know if it was wanted or not.
They were renting that building, and they didn't want to go, but they were renting it. So. And the FAA come in and said, "You guys need to go.
Got to go."
And
who pays the bill?
It took them 2 years to move it. The last from what I understand of that, they had announced they were moving like 3 years ago, and it took them a couple of years to move. And now, I guess it's a little tough to get into the building because of all the security. So I haven't actually been to that one yet.
Yeah, me either.
They
haven't invited me either. So
when I usually do this, yeah,
I can't. I don't know why. Again, I can't imagine why.
Well, maybe I can talk to them.
Maybe you can put the good word in for me.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do, AJ.
Thank you. I'd love a tour. I really would. At least Gary, maybe Gary would be. I know he's friends with Betsy Kling, and Betsy and I always gotten along. I love Betsy. Has some great relationships in the business, but it's hard when you're no longer working full time with as you know with people. You lose touch. It's very easy to lose touch. It's not on purpose, but it's just life, right? Life happens, and but I always wish everyone the best. I am so lucky and so fortunate that I have worked with some of the finest people, but not just professionals, but people over the years that, and Andre being one of them. I mean, my goodness, I began speaking with Andre when I was 13 years old, and he was so patient with me. I was so persistent, and he was just he was just awesome, and continued to be, right up until the last day we worked together.
All right, let's switch gears here a little bit, and we might even let these other two in.
Thanks.
I mean, it's technically my show, but sometimes
I told you this was going to happen.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time.
I didn't tell you that.
But anyway, before we switch gears, tell everybody kind of what you've been up to, AJ.
Well, the most recent is posting daily, semi-daily video. I guess you call them podcasts. I don't know, to YouTube. My YouTube and Facebook channels, which I basically just do a little weathercast. It's 5 to 7 minutes long, maybe a little bit longer because I tend to, Back in the day, you get the rap signal at work. I did quite often. Usually we're given about 2.5 minutes, but I can be a little bit more detailed now. There aren't sponsors at this point, so I can pretty much talk, and it's just kind of a daily forecast. I missed doing that, post-retirement. A couple of years have gone by, and I've been out of the business. So I just sort of set up a mini studio in my home office and put up a green screen. use some software on my Mac, and I basically throw some maps together, throw a forecast together. It's nice to look at the maps again and to see, to do what I was doing for almost 4 decades all over again. It's really been gratifying.
It's so cool with technology what you can do. The kid that I have that's going to be joining near the end of the show, he does the same thing. Like, he's in junior high school, I think, and he has his own weather setup, like complete full green screen and everything.
That's
but
so
it's
cool.
just crazy. Yeah.
I love it.
Technology does for people. But what's your YouTube channel?
It's just AJ Colby Weather.
Okay.
One word.
Okay.
Very easy to get to. And I'm AJ Colby on Facebook as well. I also post to AJ Colby again on X.
Yes.
Also gets a post. And if you want to stop by, it's maybe a little bit more in-depth weather than you're going to get on television, because those folks are limited by sponsors, and they've got an hour show, so there's a lot of news in there too. So I get to just do one thing, so that's kind of nice. I think it's very cool you're going to bring this gentleman in. I used to do the same thing when I was 13 years old or so. I started the bug hit, and I did my own green screen in the basement, but at the time it was black and white. But it was a key. But just thinking about the opportunities that you could have had if you were able to access green screen technology on the cheap. At the time, you were talking, $10,000 to get that effect back in 1988. And now you can do it. Now we're doing it on Zoom for free, right?
Yeah.
That's so cool. And to be interested in the weather that early too is very common among folks in the meteorology business. Mm-hmm. They start very young being interested in weather.
He actually, and I'll let him get into the story. He actually got to do the weather on WKYC last month in the morning.
Nice.
I'll let him tell the story. But yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. That's probably a dream come true for him.
Oh, yes, it is. What was your experience with the eclipse?
Wow. That was, first of all, mind blowing. First of all, it's stunning that we know exact location, the geography, the timing, how science has, and we've known this for, hundreds of years, but just that we're able to make those calculations in the first place, right? So in the right place at the right time, being in the Cleveland area, all of us had a front row seat to this. It puts us in our right size, I think. Like, I felt you very humbled, right? Mm-hmm. It's incredible to think the gigantic forces of nature at work there, astronomically speaking, the heavenly bodies, the earth, the sun, mm-hmm. and the moon, how they interact to be able to get a full eclipse, like that, mm-hmm. total solar eclipse. It was very moving experience. I mean, it was great. You can go right in your backyard. That's what I did when, me and my 3 dogs, and just sat there and watched the incredible phenomenon unfold. Got some great pictures too. It was really a stunning, once in a lifetime experience. I mean, unless you want to travel, right? I was really fascinated. A friend of mine said it was almost like being under stadium lighting. Incredible how just a sliver of the sun that was out, and it was still incredibly bright. And then it's almost like somebody flipped a switch when you went into totality. I didn't expect it to be that fast. I thought it'd be a more gradual fade out. So those were just a couple of my observations. How about you guys? It was just stunning. I don't know how to.
I was in my front yard, and people, I know people that had told me radio people that were, they went to Clarksville or Clarksfield or whatever that is. It's about 70 miles from here. They went out there so that they could see it without any obstructions or anything like that. And I think I had a better seat here. That thing, when that went to totality, it was just mind, it just blew your mind. That
Truly.
When it slipped like that, and for the 4 minutes that it was like that, you just sat there in awe looking at it. You could see the little the master, the EMEs coming out of the bottom of it.
Yeah, Bailey's beads.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Bailey's beads. I know the little red dots, right, that you saw around.
Yep. And
very impressive.
That
stuff.
was just
Corona.
awesome. And
it's surreal. It's like it shatters the mind in many ways.
Do you think that it's affecting our weather? Anything like that could affect our weather? I know it. As far as radio talk and that, there's been disruptions. In fact, this Aurora thing that we had completely destroyed the bands that we talk on for 2 days. It started on Friday. You have this on amateur radio. You have this thing we do that's called, FT8, which is all digital. It's a digital platform that we use, and it's used to, it's small signal under the. It can actually go 20 to 30 dB under the noise floor. So, you get pretty decent distances out of that. That thing got wiped. You couldn't even tell it was there. And then the HF bands on 10, 20, and 30 megahertz, they run the time. The time thing is there. The National Bureau of Time Standards got wiped. Yes. You couldn't hear it. I couldn't hear it from Friday to Sunday. Sunday evening, it just started coming back a little bit. Unbelievable stuff radio-wise.
And the sun is in an active period right now, correct? It's
yeah. Well, what has happened every 11 years that the magnetic poles flip, and we just had a flip about a year ago, and that's why all this activity is happening. It's on the downward trend. In another couple of years, you're not going to see any of this. But you have to wonder if that's what is part of this. I've never been a believer in global warming. You can tell me all you want to about it, but I think as far as man-made global warming, I've never believed in that because of the fact that, we are just insignificant little ants that are on this planet. I mean, we're animals. And for them to tell me or infer to me that it's carbon dioxide. No, it's the people on this, they're destroying the planet. BS. This planet's been around 100 times longer than we have. And, it's going to be around 100 times longer when we're gone. But what do you think about that? What do you think of global warming? Think it's...
Well, the thought that goes into responding to a question like that it has been long and hard. And I'm of the extreme view that people have extreme opinions on this. And I've kind of settled into a spot where, I don't get into arguments or talk much about controversial subjects like this. I don't know why it's gotten so controversial. I don't quite understand why it has. But I think there is still a lot of research that needs to go into this. I don't think there is a simple answer at all on this. And what you're saying and what you have said, I have recognized as the general conclusion reached by many professionals in my former career. I guess you could say former career. Many professionals are of the opinion that there's just not enough data to make a call on this yet, one way or the other. And then there are, I think, a minority of professionals in my industry that are absolutely convinced of it, that it must be stopped now, and we must do everything we possibly can to stop it. Looking at the historical part of this, or the part of the equation, historically speaking, I don't think it's necessarily, it's my very strong opinion that it is not a good idea to go to extremes on any issue. It's much better to come down in the middle whenever possible, and to say that there's still a lot of research that needs to be invested in this. I'm disinclined, right, to make a call on, do I think this is something that's real or fake? I don't know. There could very well be warming, but the question is, like you said, Pat, is it man-made? Is it anthropogenic?
Yeah.
That I just think there simply is not enough data to make a call. So I'm still the jury is out on this for me, and it has been very much so. And my colleagues, whom shall remain nameless because I don't want to call these names out, but I'm sure you can imagine who these people might be, are still kind of on the fence on this. I don't think they've made a call. It's very controversial, and there's no reason really for it to be controversial, is there? I don't think there is.
You can either believe in it or not. And personally, I don't believe in it. I think some of the stuff was created for whatever reason. The only thing
strong viewpoints on either side. Side.
The only thing
I don't know. I fall in the middle. I really do on this. I don't know.
The only place you could actually have an example of it would be if you went to somewhere like I think it was Beijing with their pollution and that. You got to wonder if their pollution is causing anything.
How could it not? Right?
Yeah.
How could it not be affecting at least the local climatology? But is it a global phenomenon? Right?
Exactly.
Who is? I mean, I think it takes one heck of an ego to think that we can over a very long period of time somehow affect climate. Climate's a big word, man. You get into climatology, you're talking a period of not just decades, but beyond that. And the scope of our data is just not all encompassing enough to really have a good answer on this, in my humble opinion. And there's a lot of opinions out there, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of opinions.
And we appreciate yours.
I don't know. I do the best that I can, but like any of us, a lot of us are just winging it out here.
So okay, so I have two questions. When it comes to severe weather with your YouTube channel, are you going to be covering as much as you can? Like if there's like tornadic events or super severe weather, are you going to be covering it?
I think some of the events I will likely be covering. Yes.
Okay.
But I just haven't decided the full scope of that yet. That is definitely an evolving process. It's something I've given a lot of thought to, but there's also some specialized equipment that is a good idea to have during severe weather. And of course, we want to keep people safe and help them. to do the right thing and to know the information that's going to help them. So if I can be a party to helping the conversation and to helping people be safe and to be okay, then I would like to be a part of that. So yeah, I may very well dive into that a bit. How that exactly looks right now, I don't quite know just yet, but I appreciate that question.
Are you on Facebook?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Why don't you look up Summit County Skywarn?
Okay.
And join us. I think it's a closed group now. I've got almost, I think, 6,000 or 7,000 people in there. And
it's the Summit County Skywarn.
Yep.
It's got that many.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And it's a pretty good group. It's lively, especially when things get going.
When things get crazy?
Yep. I ask for, a lot of times I'll ask for photos and stuff like that. There's a lot of that comes in. I've got 2 or 3 top contributors there that are all over the weather.
I'm looking it up even as we speak. Summit County Skywarn.
Yep.
1.2 thousand members. Is that it?
Yep, that's it. I've grown a little bit.
Very cool.
Speaking of severe weather, have you been following what's going on for Wednesday?
Wednesday, we've got there is a slight risk in the state.
Yep.
In Northwest Ohio, if I remember correctly. If memory serves, and it usually doesn't. I know there's a moderate risk on day 2 convective outlook, if I remember correctly. Day 2 convective outlook, there's a moderate, right? Mm-hmm. Over Iowa.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can see that now on.
I don't think they've drawn in the moderate for Wednesday yet. At least I hadn't the last I looked. I think there's going to be something out of that.
Would that be considered day 2? Yeah, I guess from today.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is a what is it? Marginal risk?
No, it would be day 3.
We're not even in the slight risk.
It would be day 3.
It's 2 out of 5.
It would be day 3 because it's
day
today.
3.
Tomorrow would be day 2, and then the next day would be day 3.
So yeah, the swath of slight risk does encompass for day 3. So yeah, maybe. Well, you can pretty much bet on that when you go with highs in the mid and upper 80s into the low to mid 70s the next day. That something's probably got to give.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
With dew points upwards and up in the upper 60s.
With that, I would like to transition kind of and introduce our second guest to the show, Ethan. How are you tonight, Ethan?
I'm very good. How are you, Eric?
I'm good. You've met Pat before?
I have.
Or Evan is my other co-host, and then AJ.
Yeah, he's with us tonight.
Yep.
And I just wanted to point out before we start that if I make these faces, it's my Tourette's, all right? It's nothing like out of the ordinary.
Oh.
Looks like you're just having fun, but okay, yeah. It sounds good to me.
There you go. Nice to meet you, AJ Colby.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Ethan. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm happy to be talking to another meteorologist.
I love your background. Where did you get that picture?
That was actually from a couple nights ago when Kansas got slammed by a 90-100 mile an hour derecho producing derecho.
That's awesome. What books are you studying? What are you studying for your weather information? Sorry, my dogs are barking in the background there.
I don't hear them. What am I studying? So I'm studying the ingredients for severe weather, like how they happen, cold pool potential and soundings and adiabatic lapse rates and all that advanced stuff.
I love it. You're looking into skew T log P diagrams and adiabatic lapse rates. My goodness, that's stuff that I didn't see until I went to Ohio State.
Wow.
That's impressive, my friend. You're on the right track.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing in math?
What?
How are you in math?
I'm pretty good at math.
There's a lot of math and a lot of physics and chemistry ahead for you, my friend. But do you know what school you want to go to?
I don't know yet. Maybe Ball State University.
That's awesome. They have a great school. So are you in Northeast Ohio?
I'm in Northeast Ohio. I'm in Stowe, Ohio, in Summit County.
Very good. Somebody told me that you were on a local television broadcast. A little birdie told me that you were on one of the local stations. Can you tell me about that a little bit?
I sure can. I was on WKYC 3 News early in the morning. I had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I was on there with Matt Wintz. And the best thing is that he was like, he has great talent. I'm going to let him do the whole thing and step off. And I wasn't anticipating that.
He did a great job.
That was super cool.
You did a great job.
Right?
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you very
Ethan.
much.
That is really wonderful. I'm so happy for you.
You even got to meet.
I'm really proud of you.
You even got to meet Al Roker too.
I did get to meet Al Roker. Even though it wasn't in person, I was so grateful to meet him through television, and he could hear what I was saying. So that's at least something.
Oh, that's so cool. You must have been so excited. I can't even imagine what was going through your mind.
Yeah, it was a lot.
What were you thinking? What were you like? How did you handle that incredible pressure?
I wasn't nervous. I actually have my own green screen in the other room, and I've been practicing on that for a long, long time. So yeah, I've gotten into it.
You've got the bug.
Yeah, I got it.
So do you envision yourself doing that for your career?
I envision myself potentially working for National Weather Service Office or Storm Prediction Center.
What was there a specific event that happened in your life that got you interested in meteorology, or does it just feel like something that was inside of you, or both?
It was actually an event that happened in April 2020. I don't know if you'll remember from working on Fox 8. But we had basically a squall line of some sort of QLCS or MCS, I can't remember. But it was a line of severe storms packing a punch, and it had spin-up tornadoes. And I went to my basement, and I looked at the radar, and I was like, oh, that looks pretty cool. And then I was like, I wonder how those wind gusts happen, and I wonder how a tornado is created. So then I looked at a lot of diagrams, and I saw the National Weather Service website that had a lot of like science stuff to it, and I looked at it, and that's how I got here. That's how I got here.
That is so fascinating, Ethan. Thank you so much for sharing that story. That is very
problem.
Cool. To a guy like me, especially, I mean, I have something similar that happened, and I know a lot of guys that are in around my age who got into meteorology and have very similar stories. Right, guys?
Yes.
We talked about that earlier, about our interest in weather. I didn't mean to hijack the interview, guys.
No, I appreciate it. It's actually really cool. No, that's totally fine. I found it very entertaining.
And Ethan is a very fascinating guy, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, I look forward to every Sunday. I met him. We go to the same church. I look forward to every Sunday at church, getting the weekly weather forecast, knowing if we were going to have severe weather or not.
Yeah.
There you go. And would you mind me presenting yet?
Yeah, go ahead.
Screen sharing? Okay, let me make sure that...
this is exciting. I'm excited.
You're excited.
And also, Ethan, do you have any questions for AJ while you're doing that?
Are you kidding? He's had Al Roker answer his questions. He probably...
Okay, AJ, I do have one question for you, all right? I got the severe weather stuff down, but I have a question. How do they determine hail size on radar without reports?
That is an excellent question. So those are hydrometeors, right? You know that.
Yes.
And they can, and by that, there's a way you can tell the type of hydro. So it's hydrometeor classification. And it's all done by wavelength. As far as I know, that a highly advanced Doppler radar, which is now it's dual pole technology. You probably know that, Ethan. You've heard of that, right?
Yeah, they call it that all the time. I've heard of it. I've seen it too much to know.
It's like the second or third generation. Which
it's like an upgrade.
Oh, it's a major upgrade. And so instead of the way the sweep goes around, it's now more of a target. And the elevation is adjusted and it goes around in sweeps. And tell you want to know the size of the hail. So it would be the size of the target. And there is between the correlation coefficient. Yeah. And a couple of other methods within that Doppler radar technology that the size can be assessed from the various scans. I hope I'm giving you the right information there.
Oh yeah, you are.
That's a tough one. But that is a great question. And you're going to force me to go back and look at exactly how they're able to come up with a size of the target of the hail, because you see it in the statements that are generated.
Way to stump the professional.
What an awesome question.
Can it just be done by eyeballing it? Okay, well, we have golf size here.
That's how I do it. I eyeball it.
We have softball size over here.
Hopefully not in Ohio.
Ethan, what a great question. That's got to be one of the best questions I've ever fielded. And it certainly stumps me in many ways. Oh, you've got a presentation here. I'm going to shut up and let you do your presentation.
It's on there? Yes, yeah, we figured it out, Eric. We figured it out.
I had to let you be co-host.
What?
You got to put Ethan in the box down there.
I'm using Radar Omega.
Boy, that's an excellent product. Does it cost? Is it a yearly cost, or is Radar Omega free? Is it in the App Store?
It's in the App Store. It's $9.99. It used to be free, but now they made it cost money. At least I have it now. So
it's $10 one time and you get unlimited data?
$9 one time and you get unlimited data. Yes, you do.
I'm going to have to get that and just put that on my show. Maybe that's how I should do severe weather coverage. I was using Radar Pro.
Yeah, it is.
Radar Scope. Pardon me, Radar Scope.
Seriously, a Radar Pro. Storm producing tennis ball size hail there. So you said look at the hydrometer classification.
There's the dual pole product, high-res correlation coefficient.
Ah, there it is.
Nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
It gives you the elevation as well down there.
I like these products. Yeah, 0.5 degrees. Yeah, that's your elevation.
I think the National Weather Service better recruit this kid pretty quickly here.
I hope so. And I even know how they issue warnings. So they use like this AWIPS PAVE website software.
Tell me more about that.
So basically, AWIPS CAVE is basically, I looked it up on the their website. It's basically a website software all National Weather Service offices use to look at weather data, weather models even, and they can also look at satellites. So it's basically like any other weather app except way more advanced software, and they can issue warnings with it. And they can put like the polygons out and adjust them as like needed, as they want to.
Is that software is not available to the general public though, right?
It actually is, but
AWIPS is?
AWIPS is, but it's a different kind where you can just use it for fun. Like you can put a warning out and nothing will happen. It's just like a test bed type thing.
Oh, that is very, very cool. Free.
It is.
Free.
Yeah, thank you.
Put your own warnings out if you want to. Oh,
yeah,
man.
you can.
That's a little concerning, isn't it?
It depends on who's issuing the warnings, I suppose.
Oh, Pat has ideas now.
I don't know if I trust Andre with that kind of power. Ethan, on the other hand, I would.
Would it be okay if I went into the models?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, basically what you can expect over the course of the next 18 hours, because this is the 23Z. This may take a second to load. You guys can see we had, I don't know, AJ, if you saw the severe thunderstorm warning in this region earlier. Did you see it?
Yeah, it was happening when I was doing my YouTube live.
Oh, wow. Perfect, huh?
Fort Clinton, right? It was right on cue that showed up.
It was, yeah. It was.
I showed it on Radar Scope, but I like this app way better.
Yeah, it's a lot more advanced. Advanced.
I may have to spend the $9 and get it.
Yeah, that would be a good idea too.
Is that on your desktop?
What's the name of this thing again?
Radar Omega.
Radar Omega. I'm gonna look that up right now. I love it.
What software do you use, AJ, to do your broadcast?
I just do stuff. That I've been doing right now is using a lot of online software, not my own software to present. I use Apple Keynote to.
Oh yeah, I do too.
Do graphics. Yep.
I do too.
I mean, otherwise you're going to shell out about $30,000 or $40,000 for a WSI system, and then I think they probably charge thousands of dollars a month for their data package that gets delivered via the internet. So you have to have one heck of a great internet service provider that doesn't drop frames.
Well, that's deep.
And then OBS Studio. I don't know if you guys know what OBS Studio is.
OBS Studio.
Yeah, OBS Studio.
That's how this is produced.
That's what I'm using here.
There we go. OBS Studio it is.
Okay, I'm just using a regular software on my iPad. I'm just using Zoom itself. So.
And that's on your iPad.
It is on my iPad.
I'm using an Apple product. I'm using an iMac.
Oh yeah.
It's the last what is it called? Intel chipset iMac produced. But I'll tell you, I have major problems with OBS Studio freezing.
Oh yeah. I'm glad I don't have it.
Yep, it freezes quite a bit, and I have to redo my shows. It gets a little concerning.
Yeah.
What frame rate are you using?
60.
You need to drop to 30. It'll quit.
It'll stop freezing on me?
Yes, that's what I'm using here.
Okay.
My frame rate here is set at 30 FPS.
And you never have any freezing.
I never get anything like that, no.
Hey AJ, I want to ask you,
yes,
what are you thinking the chances of an enhanced risk issuance for wind on Wednesday is?
I think there's a very high chance that we're going to get into an enhanced risk situation. Yes.
Yeah, I'm hoping so, to get some good views on my phone.
Do you think it's going to come up this far north?
I hope so. I think so.
I don't know. I never hope or pray for severe weather ever.
As far as the trends,
after covering it wall to wall for many years.
It would probably be something like this.
As far as
you drawing it in? You drawing in your enhanced?
I mean, with the stuff I looked at, probably. I mean, it's a pretty decent chance. I mean, I looked at that. We have abundant moisture. Did you see that? The dew points are up in near 70.
Is that Wednesday afternoon? They're up close to 70? I didn't see that.
Yeah, Wednesday afternoon.
We're looking at the 18Z HRRR run there.
Model update. Yeah, big model update.
Nice.
The trending that I've been watching over the last since March, is most of the heavy stuff's been down south of Akron or out west. You had those tornadoes that were out there in
I've realized
Richland County.
I realized that. That's weird, isn't it?
I got a question for both of you now. AJ,
Yeah.
you can go first. Do you know what the Summit County split is?
Oh, yeah, I've heard of it. I don't know if it's real, but it seems like it is.
I have proved that time and time again. It does exist.
What's your assessment of that, Ethan?
I think it's topography. Go ahead, Ethan.
I think it's because of the higher elevations. Unless it's like a squall line where it's really organized, then it'll bust its way through.
Very rarely. Very rarely.
Yeah.
I've seen that split. I've actually followed that split probably for the last 10 years.
It seems to happen time and time again.
It became apparent. All of a sudden, you have that long line that's going right through Medina County, and then it just touches Summit County, and boom!
It weakens.
It weakens, and part of it goes south, and part of it goes north. It's the Summit County split.
It's interesting how that works, because like we're at in Summit County is like we rarely get hit by tornadoes. Last year I think was the first in a while, but you
August of 2023, that was a bad storm.
You get the stuff in like Fairlawn area or Twinsburg area, but once it splits there, Mrs. Stowe, Mrs. Hudson, Mrs. Monroe Falls area, like it just dips south of all those cities.
It seriously does.
I mean, it's a good thing, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not hoping for tornadoes, but I'm wanting a good storm. Like one with like maybe just not like too bad of conditions, but just right.
I think.
What are you showing? What's showing up there now, Ethan? Are you showing a Futurecast product, or
I'm showing a Futurecast product? What the radar could look like on the 21st at midnight. All right, so we're not even close to Wednesday. Let me advance this forward here. So it doesn't look like we're going to get anything really tomorrow, maybe a stray shower. Look at that big old thing moving in from the west. They have a big wind threat with that in the west tomorrow. I don't know if you saw that. But as that moves through, that's going to be the determiner for the severe weather threat tomorrow. Do we fire up those thunderstorms? That morning convection, if it gets its way out of here very quickly, that's probably going to open the door for some destabilization on heating and to get thunderstorms rolling. But if it lingers around just a little bit longer, that'll probably stabilize the atmosphere. But look down south into Indiana by the time we get into 2 p.m. Look at that. Look how fast those thunderstorms bubble up. Like, did you see how fast those bubble up within the hour? Like, I mean, this is one model. Yeah, they exploded. That's why, like, the coverage is becoming numerous at, like, that point. So, yeah, AJ, I definitely agree with you that there would be an enhanced risk somewhere, probably. I'd
be surprised if there wasn't. I would be surprised.
Yeah, me too.
If it stays slight risk.
I'm going to ask you something. Do you know anybody from the Storm Prediction Center?
Oh, gosh, no. No, I know no one from out there.
No.
Absolutely not. But I'll bet you if you attempted to contact them, they would be receptive to that. They would probably want to, I would imagine, send you material. And if you have any specific questions for them, I'll bet they would answer.
Yeah.
That's your government working for you, right? Isn't that your government?
Yep.
They're part of NOAA the last time I checked.
Yeah, it
Look at
is.
all of these are all the products you have access. Do you have to pay extra for that?
What?
I mean, are there in-app purchases in that in your Radar Omega? Do you have to make other purchases if you want the models and the
Unfortunately,
satellite?
yeah, the models you do have to pay, but
Got to
it's
pay
not
extra
that much.
monthly, or is it a yearly?
It's a monthly. You can choose monthly or yearly. It doesn't matter, but as long as you have it, you're gonna be all set.
That's fascinating. It looks pretty good too. It's good for broadcast.
It does, yeah. Let me tell you, this looks similar to WSI, man. It does.
You got all the everything is populating itself. The streets, the city names, everything. I would imagine the base map is customizable as well, if you'd like.
It very well is customizable, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's
I'm looking at
like a derecho or something there.
I'm looking at the NAM 3KM. Yeah, there could very well be a derecho depending on if it tracks westward.
Usually they originate over the forested regions of Minnesota.
If it forms like that and tracks east, it could very well become yet another dangerous derecho. That's probably why they have that big hatched 45 wind threat for that moderate risk. It's a wind-driven threat. But watch this. I mean, the NAM still shows it, but not nearly as intense. Like, do you see that? Like, this solution is a lot less intense than the HRRR. Are you seeing that?
Sure am.
Yeah, and that
in the future, are you going to design the models and the math behind these new computer models, sophisticated computer models? We could have the Ethan Rapid Update Model 101.
Yeah, or I could create a new model run. I don't know how they create those model runs, dude. I don't know how they do that.
My professor at Ohio State, Dr. Jay Hopgood, he may still be down there, is our hurricane model expert, and he designed all of his models were based on Fortran.
Wow.
That computer language.
That's old coding there.
We're talking
computer language
slabs, aren't we?
101, right?
And I don't remember what are the kids using now? Python?
Probably.
Yeah, for designing software, yeah, for coding and stuff like that. Yeah.
Coding.
Okay, Ethan, let me jump in here. I haven't said anything yet.
Yeah.
Is this software only for the United States? Could you go anywhere on the planet and do a forecast? Let's just say do a forecast on Friday for Sydney, Australia, let's say. Just
Sydney, Australia. All right, so these short-term models are only available for the United States. However, there are global models like the GFS, potentially the European model. Well, definitely the European model. So yeah, I would assume there's global models everywhere in the United States and widespread across the world too. There's Australia right there. Sydney, Australia. There you go.
Or Canberra. I don't care. Either one.
There's some global models.
Yeah. Now, Ethan and AJ, I'm going to direct this at both of you. Have you ever tried working in metric? You know, since the rest of the world uses metric, Australia changed over 50 years ago. Their weather forecasts are in metric because I've seen some live streams of Australian Broadcast Corporation. They have a meteorologist, and he gives it in Celsius. So I'm just curious.
Very well have seen degrees Celsius before, and I can tell you that if someone says 25 degrees Celsius, I'd be like, that's pretty warm.
Yeah. No, that's right. See, I'll go back, AJ, since you were kind of late. I actually have an AJ, excuse me, not an AJ. So I have a Mark Kuntz story, but I'll leave it for off air. But I remember when he did a broadcast when I was a little kid, and I seem to recall that at the time, now we're talking late 1970s, that the degrees Fahrenheit would come first, and then degrees Celsius would be afterwards. And after a while, that just sort of fell out of fashion, I guess.
Yeah. So it's
right.
Celsius now, huh? In one part of the country and another part of the country.
Do it. But I'm just curious if you were able to do, like I said, Wednesday, since it's Tuesday there now, they're a day ahead.
Yeah, they are a day ahead.
Just to give you enough time to have a prediction of some kind set up.
Yeah.
In terms of the metric system being involved, all of the computer models, I believe, are a metric system.
Okay.
They're done in decameters, and that's of course Celsius, and the way the models are set up and the way they code them are all metric systems.
And look,
One that I find kind of curious that I've come across is barometric pressure. Now, we have historically in the United States used degrees, inches of mercury. We've used inches of mercury, and it's either the pressure's rising or falling, but elsewhere it's either pascals, or I've heard kilopascals. Now, I'm not entirely sure how that's measured, but I could look it up later, but I've seen that before. But
yeah,
I know that
it's very easy. It's amazing how much easier it is to do conversions on a search engine like Google or something.
That's usually the way I do it.
You go for millibars. Millibars are what most of them are, millibars. And isodrosotherms, which are lines of equal what? Ethan?
That equal wait, what?
Remember what isodrosotherms are?
Isodrosotherms?
Did I stump you?
I know what isobars are, but
isobars, very good. What are isobars?
They're basically lines that show you basically the different areas of pressure.
There you go. Iso means the same. Bar is pressure, so yes. Lines of equal pressure.
Yes.
But Goddard used to say isobars are Italian popsicles. Isobars.
I mean, they kind of look like them.
I'm 100% Italian, so I'm allowed to say that.
Yeah?
Yeah, our last name is really Colabella. But yeah, all the isodrosotherms, I believe, are lines of equal dew point, if I remember correctly. So you have
Europe's weather looks nasty.
Yes, it does. Look at that's a global. That's the GFS. Now the European model is extremely expensive. It costs a lot of money, but the Euro model is usually much more accurate. I hate to say it, than the American GFS model. The European model has been shown to be much more accurate.
It has.
Over time.
It has, yeah. And should we take a look ahead now that we're done covering Wednesday's severe weather potential?
Sure.
Oh, who's doggy? Who's doggy?
I mean, yeah.
Cute. Is that a golden retriever?
Huh?
That's yours, Ethan, right? Your background there.
That's my dog right there. Yes. That is, yeah.
He's a golden?
Yes.
Yeah, my parents have a golden retriever.
Yes. Now I have time limits on my iPad, but my mom gave me permission to dismiss it for now. But I also look at this site called Tropical Tidbits while I do my forecast. And let me tell you, it has a lot on there to offer too. I just looked today and they have a 2024 seasonal hurricane forecast.
Nice. Look at that Euro model. Look at that.
Yeah. Big old thing. Yeah.
Tidbits?
Yes, on Tropical Tidbits. You can, this is totally free, man. If you don't want to do the Radar Omega thing, you can gladly use Tropical Tidbits. It's a big replacement.
I don't know if I could get away with that on a commercial enterprise like my YouTube channel. I've been using National Weather Service products because I don't want to go into any copyright infringement areas.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if I would be allowed to use that in my weather show.
Oh, yeah.
But it's fascinating to be able to look at it.
And
to have a European model to look at. That's fantastic.
Look at that. It breaks apart by the time it gets here, but watch what happens. Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening. Look at that. It gets back together again. I mean, I think we have a pretty good setup on Wednesday. Don't you agree?
There's a chance. There's definitely a chance. I certainly can't discount it. That's for sure.
You can't ignore it.
No, you can't.
And I definitely don't want to be up there in Canada on Wednesday either, because they have a 982 millibar low and they're going to have snow on the backside. All right. This doesn't show frozen precipitation, but that's snow. I can guarantee you on the northwest.
It's going to be windy, rain swept, wind swept rain.
Yeah, they're going to have high wind warnings. I can guarantee it. But going into Memorial Day weekend, you guys ready to hear your Memorial Day weekend forecast?
Sure.
All right, starting with Friday. All right, this is the European model is showing potential pop-up showers, potentially some thunderstorm activity. All right, and we also have a low-level jet there. It's fairly weak. I looked earlier, but it could still be supportive of some, perhaps like some afternoon bubble up thunderstorms that rain themselves out. You know how it is this like it's late spring and summer in Northeast Ohio, where they pop up and kind of rain themselves out, and it goes sunny, rain, sunny, rain. It's going to be like that. But as we go into Saturday, the European model is picking up on perhaps the same thing, but a little bit further south. So we might dodge a bullet there on Saturday. Sunday, though, is a bit more concerning as we go into the afternoon and evening. Look at this setup here. There's a second low right there below Indiana, and there's the main low up there in Canada, all right? So understand we are on the southern side of the first low, so that could be supportive of severe weather, perhaps. And then watch what happens on Memorial Day. We could still have leftover severe weather. Look at that. See that, AJ?
I think you're doing a fine job there with that forecast, my friend. Fine job.
Thank you. Definitely a rainy.
I think you should do your own daily forecast weather every day if your mom and dad say it's okay.
I really want to. I mean, I have a green screen. Awesome. I do forecast for a while, but I get caught up with homework and all that jazz.
Oh, that pesky homework. Pretty soon, summer vacation's right around the corner.
Yeah, finally. But that also means more severe weather, because we're also in a La Nina, and that means more tornadoes.
Yes, sir.
And don't you agree with the setup that we could have severe weather with that low way up in Canada connected?
All the ingredients seem to come together, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I mean, there's a lot.
We never wish for severe weather, ever. But
never wish for it, but
good to have a heads up, though.
Wow, look at that nice big warm southerly pool. Look at that.
Let's can we change direction here for just a second?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
As far as he mentioned the La Ninas and the El Ninos. I know we had one that started back in August or September of last year, and
it was September,
and went clear through until about a month ago. Am I correct? Do you think, AJ? Do you see this? Do you see this stuff keeping up like that? Are we going to go in El Nino after El Nino?
The El Nino Southern Oscillation is the focus now of so much research that you would think by now there'd be a little bit better prediction, right, of when it will or will not occur. But, and there's is that Ethan typing that in?
Yeah.
Yes, that's me typing that in. And I'm just going to show you basically the setups that show.
There you go.
Oh, come on. Stop it.
The reason for El Nino and La Nina.
Stop it. Sorry, I'm talking to my little thing that's trying to block me there. But I want
to show. Hey, Ethan, before, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I wanted to throw out a shout out to my friend Scott Sable. Scott Sable is, if there's anyone in this field that is an expert in television meteorology, in climatology, and these types of global circulations, boy, I'll tell you what, Scott Sable taught me a lot about global circulations, and he probably forgot more than I know. Scott has a wonderful blog that you should follow. It's fantastic, and he does kind of in-depth looks from time to time on these various oscillations. And the El Nino Southern Oscillation is one of a multitude of global circulations that have been discovered and patterned and are known to interact with each other on different sides of the planet. It's fascinating how they interact with each other. And I just have to put a shout out to Scott Sable on that. He's got a great blog, and I follow it myself, actually. He's just terrific. It's one of his deep passions, right beyond just meteorology. He really loves that aspect of weather, where some of us maybe love severe weather, tornadoes, hurricanes. He really gets into these types of, El Nino, La Nina setups, and is quite good at it. He and Andre also have had very interesting discussions in long-term weather prediction.
Yes.
Seasonal prediction, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
When it comes to these types of things. Just thought I'd throw it out there.
Yeah. That was
guy.
really nice shout out for you.
He's a good man.
For Scott Sable. But I just wanted to point out that 2023 summer was very dry. I mean, we had barely any thunderstorm events. We had barely any rain at that matter. May was really, really dry. And I don't think you guys remember, but we were in a severe drought because El Nino was starting to develop. And that influenced our summer light weather pattern. And our winter was historically warm, obviously. We know that. And we had thunderstorms in late February. I don't know if you remember that either. But this summer is going to be changed because we're headed into a La Nina. All right. The trends point us to above average temperatures. Yes, we'll be in a neutral pattern till about August, September, it seems like right now, and then we'll get cooler there. But this summer, I think, will be very hot. I think we'll have a lot more events of rain, flooding, thunderstorms, severe weather. Obviously, a very, very high hurricane season potential there. I know it says drier along the southern coast of the United States, but I mean, with the lack of wind shear, you might have a potentially historic, explosive, hyperactive, severe or hurricane season in the Gulf Coast, in the Atlantic.
Exactly right.
Yeah, so we have a lot of things to look forward to this summer, man.
So whether or not you want to attribute that to global warming, Pat, I don't know. But I think El Nino, La Nina might be a more of a driver of that type of stuff.
I'll tell you, I was watching this because I was questioning the weather. Yeah, and what I found out about that is that El Nino really pushed clear up into Canada, and it pretty much ended on California and right out around Jersey. And when you have a setup like that, and you can confirm this for me, I'm just saying it as a weather enthusiast. You get on the edges of that La Nina or El Nino, you get a lot of moisture usually because it's the way the jet stream and everything else pushes it down and around it. And I was wondering if we're going to get another setup like that next winter. From what the projections that I've heard, have said that there's a pretty good chance of it. And if it does, we're going to have 2 or 3. This will be the second or third year in a row where we've hardly had any snow. Am I correct?
I hope we don't have another El Nino. I mean, as a person who loves getting snowstorm and days off school, I hope La Nina doesn't quickly snap into an El Nino. And trends actually point to La Nina sticking around until 2025.
That would be quite impressive if that happens. Quite impressive.
It will, because, I mean, well, trends are pointing to that. I mean, yeah, trends are
playing out. We have no idea. No idea. There's some interesting visuals he's bringing up there.
So we know La Nina, we have way colder winters, right? Right? We have way colder winters when we have La Ninas, all right? And typically when you have El Ninos, you probably think the polar vortex will be triggered a lot more. All right. Not that frequently, but I can definitely recall a time in December of 2022 when that polar vortex just fell down on the United States and it just caused a big blizzard over Northeast Ohio. I don't know if you remember that, Pat, or anybody else, but we had a blizzard in Northeast Ohio. And it was a bomb cyclone. But with La Ninas, you typically have those more like warm, cold air contractions. And that probably would bring the threat for probably more snowstorms than you record if you have a La Nina. All right, like this wavy, you see this wavy polar jet right there. That is what I'm talking about, those big dips in the upper jet stream where we get those in the winter. That's typically associated with La Ninas if you have those frequently in the winter.
Those are Rossby waves.
Yeah, they are.
You count the number of Rossby waves, and that's one way of getting an idea of the type of winter the Northern Hemisphere would have. Was that Joe DeLeo who came up with that method? I can't remember if it was Joe DeLeo, but there's a way to count the long wave troughs, which I believe are called Rossby waves. And Andre talked about this as well during his extended outlooks that he has done. Now he retires, so I would imagine Scott will be taking either that or maybe they'll have him come back for the long range outlooks from time to time. He does a great job with the visuals.
Maybe, very well.
Hey, Ethan, sorry to cut you off. I know you're enjoying this, but we're going to have to slowly wrap up.
Oh, yeah, I have to go to bed around 9:30 anyway.
Okay. Thank you for joining us, Ethan. I'll let you go, and then we'll wrap up with AJ in a second.
It was a pleasure meeting you, Ethan. Thank you so much for all the great information and just for being you. Keep up the great work. I'm so happy for you and so proud of you, and I'm sure your folks are so proud of you as well. And just best of luck in the future. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, AJ. And I definitely am headed toward meteorology for my career.
Yeah.
And we are all the better for it.
Yes.
I'll see you Friday, Ethan.
All right. I will see you on Friday, Eric. And AJ, if you want to come too, you are very welcome.
Thank you. Have Eric send me the info.
Okay. Will do.
All right. And I also wanted to point out one more thing, and then we'll go. I promise. I'm not going to leave y'all hanging. All right. I just wanted to say that I looked at the hurricane analogs. 2024 could very well be the most active hurricane season on record. Record breaking.
You heard it here first, folks. You heard it right here.
Right here.
It's Thursday, Ethan.
Right here on the Crooked River.
I'll see you Thursday.
Yeah, my bad.
Thursday.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank
you guys for having me.
Good job,
You're
buddy.
welcome.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was so nice to meet you guys, especially you, AJ.
You too, buddy.
Take care. Thank you.
Take care.
Have a great one. Have a good night.
Rest up.
You too. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us, AJ.
Yeah, AJ, it's been a real good. This has been a blast, man. I hope you come back with us.
I've enjoyed it. Let's do it again in the future, guys.
Oh, okay. Definitely.
Thank you for having me tonight. I really appreciate it. I had a blast.
We this actually we'll post on Facebook shortly, or not Facebook, YouTube shortly. I'll get it released as soon as I can.
If you have Eric share the link, and
I'll send you the Rumble link because
that'd probably be the thing to do. We're on Rumble.
Share that link if you'd like. Sure.
And if you look for Crooked River Radio on Twitter, you'll find us there too. We broadcast everything on that one. Sir, it's been a great meeting you. It's been great having you on here. I just can't tell you how excited I was and am to have met you. So
you too. Thank you so much, Pat and Evan and Eric. Guys, really fantastic. I really enjoyed it a lot.
AJ, likewise. Thanks again.
My pleasure.
Have a good evening, sir.
You too. Take care, guys.
You too.
Yeah, I guess we can wrap, Eric.
Yes, we can. Thank you, everybody. What?
Let's do an after show for about 10 minutes.
Yes, I was just going to say that. But thank you so much, everybody, for listening, and have a great one. Good night. And that. Okay.
Good night, Pittsburgh! The whole day of Michigan, the whole day of Michigan, the whole day of Michigan, we don't give a damn for the whole day of Michigan. We're from Ohio, we're from Ohio, we're from Ohio. Oh, we don't give a damn for the whole day of Michigan, the whole day of Michigan, the whole day of Michigan. We don't give a damn for the whole day of